Hello, powerful women. My name is Shannon Lynn Rogers, and today I would like to talk with you all about how to own your willpower. What is your willpower, anyways? Your willpower is your ability to choose. It's your ability to choose one thought over another. It's your ability to choose one feeling over another. And the one message I want you all to take from this presentation is that you always have a choice. See, I'd like to teach you all a little bit about the power of your mind and how to own your willpower through the power of your mind. This is a little diagram that I want to use to talk about the science of our mind. Our mind has the choosing part. This is the tip of the iceberg, okay? Now, this part does all of the choosing in our mind. It shows whatever outfit you're wearing today, whatever relationships that you have, the color car you're driving. Our choosing mind is the chooser. And interesting enough, this part actually programs this part. This part is the subconscious, and it does none of the choosing, and it does all of the reacting, all of the reflexing. A perfect example of a subconscious reflex is a sneeze or even an orgasm. Our bodily functions are all controlled by our subconscious mind reflexively. You know, as you go to sleep at night, you don't have to think about breathing or keeping your heart pumping. I mean, how much do we consciously have to do with what our liver or our gallbladder is actually doing in our body for us? It's really quite miraculous once you start really activating the power of your mind and body and realizing all of the things that your body is really doing for you. There's a lot of gratitude that comes with that, and there's a lot of things that I'm finding in our society that we take for granted that are happening in our physical body. See, I look at our physical body like it's a vehicle, and our willpower is our steering wheel, and we're able to drive it to the fear side, to the love side. Fear is usually a reaction, and fear is not a bad thing. It's not to be hated or anything about it. Fear keeps us safe. Fear lets us know, hey, don't touch that stove, because I reflexively remember that that's hot and that's not good. And so our fear is really meant to steer us away from harm. However, it's incomplete if we're not activating the power of our will. Because what's going on in this reactive pattern so often in my private practice, see, I help people in my private practice, help them overcome past traumas, and I help them own their power to regain back the driver's seat of their life and their health of their body and relationships. And our willpower is the number one way to do that, is to say that I actually have had a reaction. I've had a reactive reflex. Maybe it's a physical symptom in your body. Maybe it's an emotion that keeps coming up for you. And when those things happen, we have an opportunity in the present moment to activate our willpower and choose a different thought and a different emotion. However, sometimes that goes unappreciated or even unaware that we even have a choice. And like I say, you always have a choice. See, I find in our world that there is a lot of avoidance, especially in groups of powerful women, because we, as powerful women, we don't want to appear as though we don't have it all together. However, going through this life is a journey, and we never will make it through always having it together. And if we don't have tools, in the moment tools, that sometimes we can get into a pattern of avoidance and faking it until we make it. And even though I'm a huge advocate for faking it until you make it, well, you gotta make it eventually, so you just can't keep faking it and faking it and faking it. And I see that in our world so often that I hear this phrase, it's not okay for me not to be okay. And here's the thing, folks. It has to be. It has to be okay if you're not okay. Because you're never going to get okay. You have to take stock of what's actually happening inside your inner business, right? Your inner business is your feelings and emotions, mostly about yourself. And the interesting thing, most of those feelings and beliefs, they came from not only our past environment as our childhood, but also what our mother's environment was, and our mother's mother, our father's father. Epigenetics is something that is going to be the wave of our future, and that is all about, it's our environment. I've made a video about that, and you can Google that, but epigenetics really is something to take note about, because it is about everything going on in our reactive mind is about a past environment that we were in, that we have either allowed to continue to reflexively show up in our life, or that we have not yet chosen a different emotion, either because we believe that we can't change it, we don't have the confidence or the tools. And I find that the power of this is huge. Because there was a time in my life when I did not know this information. There was a time in my life where I really had felt that I could not go left or go right. There was no right answer. Either way I went, it was a lose-lose. And when another powerful woman empowered me and reminded me that I always have a choice, it was epic for my life. I had no idea that I was in a reactive fear-based pattern. I just felt at that time that that's what my life was, and that's the way that it was, and that's the way my body was, and that I didn't want it to be that way. And I guess the frustration was coming, that knowing that there has to be a better way. And in that moment, I was given that opportunity. Now, when she said you always have a choice, I didn't know exactly what she meant. And what she meant was you have a choice of how to control your inner environment, no matter what is going on in your world. And that is where our true power lies. That's where true powerful women excel, because realizing that your inner climate is all about you, and that no one is coming to save you. No one is going to change you or help you or fix you or do anything about any toxic thoughts or behaviors or patterns or feelings that you have towards yourself or your world, but you. This is about awareness and becoming aware of what is actually going on in your inner climate. And although that can seem scary, the fun comes once you really do get your hands on the steering wheel. So I want to give you all some fun tips of how to go through this reactive fear-based pattern that could be showing up in your life, in your body, in your business, in your relationships. So here we go. I'm going to give you all a 3-step process that I find so effective in the moment, that could seem a little simple, but once you go through it and you realize the power of it, and that all along the power is within you, you will soar. So the 3-step process goes like this. We're in the moment, something goes awry. Your body, your miraculous mystery machine, lets you know when you're in a reactive pattern. All of the symptoms in our body, maybe it's not feeling enough. Maybe it's when you're getting ready in the morning that there's a part of your body that you've been hating and self-sabotaging, and it doesn't feel good. It doesn't make you feel good. It doesn't make you feel empowered. And so I'm constantly having this dialogue with myself and my body where I'm saying, would I choose to feel this all day long? This is something that's going on inside of me. Would I choose to feel this? And if it's not an emotion that I would choose to feel, or an experience that I would choose to feel, just actually getting it outside of me and holding it in my hand and saying, would I choose this? It already begins to shift it because it's not within you anymore. It's here. And when we decide to make a change, when we change anything up from a reaction, even just the pause of acknowledgement, of acknowledging that in the present moment, I am aware of how I'm feeling and the thoughts that I'm thinking. I'm aware of those things. That power is huge. That's step one. Once you have that part done and you know what you got, and then I want you to breathe. Because usually it's kind of difficult to breathe when you're in a reactive pattern. And so breathing is huge. It can seem so simple because we're constantly doing it. But like I said before, your breathing is controlled by your reactive mind. And so if you're in a reactive fear-based pattern, your breathing will become shallow. We won't take in enough oxygen. The health of our body begins to suffer. And so step two is when you're in this moment, you know what you got, and then you want to breathe. 3 deep breaths. And then you can make a clear decision about what direction it is that you do want to go, what emotion it is that you do want to feel, how it is that you do want to be. That's true empowerment of holding on one hand, saying, I have this. Would I choose this? No, I wouldn't. Let me breathe. And then you choose. And once you choose, then you have to become it. You have to be it. You have to move in that way. You have to behave and become what it is that you truly desire. So the 3-step process is 1, become aware. 2, breathe. 3 is to choose and move. I'm calling this breathe, choose, and move. Breathe, choose, and move. Breathe, choose, and move. Because the power of movement is huge. And I can see if this is the first time you're really getting this concept that it could seem quite simplistic. However, once you give it a shot, it is so powerful. So let's do that now. Do that with me here. Connect to something in your life that causes you to feel fear. Connect to something right now, a person that causes you to feel negativity and fear, and just sit with that for a moment. Just allow that to come up from the surface. It's there. And as it's there, feel what happens in your body. Feel how your body reacts. How your body reacts that just the thought of this situation or this person causes your body to have a physical reaction. See, what we focus on grows. And so if we keep reflexively reacting in a fear-based way, then we're just creating more of it. So now that we're here, we're sitting with it, it's here, good job. Now let's breathe. And in doing that, it puts you right back into the driver's seat where you have the hand on your steering wheel and you can take your life in whichever direction that you choose. I'm going to show you another breath technique that goes in there. Dr. Huberman is a neuroscientist professor at Stanford University, and he has many riveting talks about how to hack your brain and how to do that through the power of your breath. And in his talks, he speaks about how it is in the action that change actually occurs. It's not just in the thoughts and the thinking of it, that we actually have to create change in our body. And the best way to do that is through our breath. When we are in a reactive pattern, that's movement. That is actually, it's an inner movement. It doesn't always have to be an outward movement. We always are so often looking to others to fulfill us or to give us happiness or to show us what it is that we really need, when honestly that doesn't ever fully fill our tank if we are, the majority of us is reflexively reacting in a fear-based way. That there has to go a little deeper than the thoughts. And so in his amazing talks, he gives another example of a quick breath technique in which you do one short breath and then one long breath. And so that goes like this. Do that with me. One more time. It's fun, isn't it? It's fun to realize the power of your breath and that you really can shift this inner environment that's going on with you. And then now you gotta move. You gotta become it. Now, what does that actually mean? So let's say that you're in a fear reaction. You're in a fear-based pattern and you catch yourself. Your body's responding. You notice that you don't feel good. You catch yourself and you say, oh, what is it that I'm feeling right now? Oh, I'm feeling fear. I'm feeling fear about this presentation that I need to give. Well, would I ever choose to feel fear about that? Absolutely not. I would never choose. So I'm going to breathe. And I would choose to feel powerful. I would choose to feel empowered. Now that I've made that decision, the change is already happening on a molecular structure. Huge shifts are already happening as you're rewiring your brain, just in those little subtle movements. But now when you have decided that what it is that you want to feel, and you want to feel powerful, and you want to feel empowered, now you say, I am empowered. And you take an empowered stance. There's so many neuro-linguistic tools that you can use in this moment to become it. But the most fun that I use with this is snaps. If I catch myself and I'm in a reactive pattern and my car is driven over to the fear side of the road and my car is reacting and driving off the road, and I breathe, would I choose this? No, I would choose to feel this. And when I do that, I snap. And in snapping, it really breaks up the energy. Maybe if it's just one snap. Some of these things you can't necessarily do while you're involved in a conversation, but you can go to the bathroom. Snapping breaks up that fear-based reaction pattern while you are actually claiming and you're choosing mind that I now am no longer disempowered. I now am empowered. And as I'm empowered, I can go outside and look at the trees. You know, nature is there for us to pull from. Nature is always there exhibiting love energy for us. You know, you can go to the trees and see how powerful they are. We've had a hurricane that is coming through our town, and that is a powerful storm. And you can align with these things that are powerful, and you can pull them into your experience just through your imagination. Even if you're in a place where nature isn't necessarily available to you, in your conscious mind, just choosing to bring your awareness out of that fear reactive pattern into a love-based pattern, it's huge. You know, and I want to touch on the love-based thing. I want to talk about that because also around the time that I learned how to own my willpower, I was facing a difficult situation and I didn't know how to love it. I knew that I needed to learn how to love it. However, sometimes we think that love just means cuddling and being sweet and kind. And a lot of times it's not necessarily that we need to behave a certain way or look a certain way. Love is the higher force. Love is the force that feels better and gives you the relief. So maybe there's a sticky situation or a person that You don't want to love, or you don't understand how you could possibly love some of their behaviors. Well, here's where you can make an inner shift and choose to love yourself enough to not engage with that situation, where you could say, I would never choose to be involved in this relationship, this friendship, this business relationship, and feel this way. And so now I'm going to use my willpower. I'm not going to choose this. I'm going to breathe. And I'm going to choose again. And I'm going to choose to feel honored. And I'm going to honor myself. And so it's in the honoring and the loving of yourself in the moment than it is an action movement on the outside. And until you can really embrace that, which that's just, it's a long journey that I don't know that it ever ends. Because listen, you all, this is something that is always going on. This is not something that you achieve some type of state of, you don't have to deal with fear-based patterns. This is something that's always going to be on our journey. We want these things. We want to have all of the emotions at our disposal. We want to play with all of these emotions. We want to use fear for what it is used for, but we also want to use love for what it's used for. We want to have both of our hands on the wheel and choosing and making our decisions. Can you imagine a world where everyone was empowered to actually create their inner environment, and they know that they have the ability to choose to feel and think a different way? It's huge. If we can embrace this, I believe that the world will spread in such powerful, loving ways. And that is my dominant intention, because we always have a choice. I want you all to know your power more than you can imagine. I have a practice of helping people do this, as I've said before, and I'm in the finishing stages of making a guidebook of how to really own your power and ditch these thoughts, this negative banter that's going on in our minds. I appreciate you all so much allowing me to share this message with you, and I invite you to please visit my website, www.shannonlynnrogers.com, and I also have a YouTube channel where I've been making short videos about how to own your willpower and the health of your body and how your mind and body work together. And I certainly appreciate this opportunity. Thanks again.